What's up, my people? Your boy right now is in New York City. I'm in Manhattan right now. I'm here covering the shows doing the U.S. Open. So we are here. But there's a few interesting things that I noticed. I want to draw some parallels to. So a few Mexican internationals were interviewed yesterday for their upcoming, September friendlies. Marcel Ruiz, the talented central midfielder that plays in Toluca, and Eric Lira, the talented defensive midfielder that plays for Club Cruz Azul. They spoke about why their European moves didn't transpire, and I found it very, very interesting. I'll start with Eric Lira. It's very difficult to go to Europe a year before the World Cup to make such a decision. I decided to stay at home with my people and with my national team. And here is Marcel Ruiz. My focus is on the national team and Toluca. I've always said that going to Europe is something that I'd like. Didn't happen now, but if the opportunity comes, of course, I will take it after the World Cup. It makes me think of why. The message from the head coach of the Mexican national team, Javier Aguirre, is for these players to play. They need to be active. And going to Europe, going at a higher level, for Javier Aguirre, apparently the message is it puts that in jeopardy, their playing time in jeopardy. And if they're not playing to Javier Aguirre, it does them no good. Okay, I started thinking about Paxton Aaronson of the U.S. men's national team setup, who was in the Bundesliga, loaned out to Utrecht in the Netherlands in the Eredivisie, was I believe, nominee for Young Player of the Year, did very well last season, who ends up leaving the European setup and goes to become a DP player for the Colorado Rapids. And a lot of what he was saying, or a lot of the underlining message was, Mauricio Pochettino feels you got to be playing. You got to be an important player somewhere. He doesn't care where it is. So MLS would give him that platform, give him that opportunity, thus giving him a chance to make the World Cup team, even though it alters the course of his footballing career. Matt Turner, although a different circumstance, 30 years of age, it didn't go well in Europe, decides the best way to get himself back into the national team picture is to come back to Major League Soccer and play. Matt Turner went from starting number one goalkeeper to being the backup to a guy who was theoretically fourth, fifth, maybe sixth on the depth chart and Matt Freese. So the narrative from two coaches within CONCACAF is not what it used to be. Used to be, I want you to play at the highest of levels. It used to be, go test yourself. Now it's because the coach, and why are they thinking this way, excuse me, they're thinking short term. They're thinking me, the coach, me, the national team. And that's Javier Aguirre's prerogative. That's Pochettino's prerogative. They think it gives them more of a chance of having players who are playing in game shape, sharpness, mentally, physically, tactically, all those things, regardless of the level. For this setup, for the World Cup, it gives them a better chance if they are here than maybe riding the bench or not even getting on the bench or getting a few minutes or struggling to be a prime player with prime responsibilities in European setups. I understand the dream of playing a World Cup. I understand it. It's an elusive club. It's grown. That club has grown now. I believe there will be 46 teams in the next World Cup. In my day, there was 26 teams. Or was it 32? I don't even know what it is anymore. But that number has grown. You're part of a select group, 23 players in one country. 23 players in one country. 23 players in one country. Sometimes a country is a country like Mexico, 180 million, or sometimes a country like the United States, 340 million. You're one of 23 every 4 years. That's a small percentage of people on the planet that have gotten to experience something like that. And for the majority of footballers, the dream is to play in a World Cup. There are some footballers who their dream is to play in a Champions League. I can see the mindset of some of these kids saying, my dream is to play in the Champions League, but there's a Champions League every year. Every single year. There's only one World Cup every 4 years. So I understand the window is small. But decisions like this alter the course of a career. They alter mentally um, what the player can become. And I'm sure you can become a very good footballer playing in Major League Soccer, playing Liga MX. We've seen the cases. Landon Donovan, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, brief experiences in Europe. You can become a very good footballer. But none of those guys, for example, have done what, I'll just put it this way, Santi Jimenez. And it's not gone well for him at the national team. That small sample size. Who's done well at the Eredivisie and gotten a big time signing at a club like AC Milan, a historical club, who score goals at the Europa League level and score goals at the Champions League level, who may be struggling, and insert debate here if you want, but those type of players can't say that. Now, Santi can't say that he's had the national team career these players have had, but you've got to balance it. In European terms, being a big fish in CONCACAF means very little. There are plenty of players who play well in a World Cup who don't have outstanding club careers. Amrabat, the Moroccan defensive midfielder, had himself a hell of a tournament. Went to Manchester United. I believe he's at Fenerbahce right now. He's playing alongside Edson Alvarez, or maybe competing with Edson Alvarez. If I'm not mistaken, he's in Turkey. There are plenty of players that have had good World Cups, and it doesn't alter their career. Memo Ochoa shows up every 4 years to the Mexican national team, and he's a sensation. People around the world know Memo Ochoa because of World Cups, but it's gotten him on bottom feeder teams in France, in Spain, in Portugal. Was he in Italy? I'm trying to think. But it's gotten him to that type of level. This happens all the time. So it's got to be a balance of what's not only best for your dream of playing in the World Cup, but your career. So I'm not going to lie. Did I think Marcel Ruiz had the level to play at a better club than Toluca in Europe? Yeah. Do I understand that most clubs around the world, or most leagues around the world, maybe don't value a Toluca the way that some of us in CONCACAF do? Absolutely. The teams nibbling were Ipswich Town, or Palmeiras in Brazil. Eric Lira, I believe, had some teams nibbling in the Eredivisie and Belgium. I do think those teams are bigger than Cruz Azul. The platform for a player like him would have been greater than a Cruz Azul. It's a shame, much like the Paxton Aaronsons or the Matt Turners of the world, that have a career course going one way, a trajectory, and it's altered, but that's their decision, and I respect it. I guess we just have to decide what's more important, the dream of playing a World Cup or the dream of having a good European career. And both are valid. That's for them to decide and for us to debate. Laters.